Hello, Blizzard fans! This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another daily Blizzard upload. This is a game between XellOs and Moxie, and this is Starbow. I had a couple of requests about 2 weeks ago to cast some Starbow games, and I said, hey, why the heck not? It took me a while to track down replays of Starbow, but then I contacted Xiphius on the TeamLiquid.net site, Xiphius being the person who created the game, I think, created the mod anyway, and requested them today, and he got back to me really fast and provided me a whole bunch of replays, which I really appreciate, and said this one is especially epic. So I'm very excited to cast this. To be honest, I haven't played much Starbow. I did play a little bit when it first was released. I saw some interesting kind of posts about it on Reddit and Team Liquid and decided to give it a shot, and it was definitely fun. It was kind of a throwback to the Brood War days. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute if you're unfamiliar with Brood War and with Starbow in general, but you pretty much have a lot of units from back in the day of the StarCraft, and it makes it kind of fun. It's a kind of a fun combination of the two. At this point, Xiphius is very quick to point out, this is not a recreation of Brood War. This is not trying to make StarCraft 2 what it should be or anything like that. It's pretty much its own thing right now. So as you can see, we are going for the early spawning pool and the early gas. Zerg players in Starbow do not need to be one base up on their opponents. You might not actually see an expansion be taken against this Terran for quite a while, which is something that is very different from what we've seen in Heart of the Swarm and Legacy of the Void. So a one-base Zerg can actually hold their own fairly well against a one-base Terran. So let's see what's happening at the Terran base, getting the gas out, getting a supply depot up. Going to try to wall this off. I think this is just one map, if I remember correctly. Zergling is now chasing this SCV down. Do manage to kill it. Slow Zerglings are a lot better. Metabolic boost just about to finish though in Starbow than they are in Heart of the Swarm. So they actually do a little bit more damage. Let's slow this down a tiny bit. Try to pick them up, and they do, it looks like 5, but they're a little more tanky. I don't know how to explain it. They just do a little bit better, and which is why the wall off is here, because as a Terran player is worried about these lings, he recognizes that they're coming. They are speedlings now. They're going to try to do some damage, but no. A couple Marines behind this wall is enough to chase them off, but pretty much the Zerg player has complete map control at this point, being at one base. There's a small mineral field here. I don't know what the purpose of that is. Maybe to prevent a full wall off here. You have to harvest to get rid of it. I don't know. We'll have to see if that comes into play or not. I have to imagine it has some strategic purpose. I just don't know what it is. So going mass barracks here is our Terran player Moxie, which again, why the heck is he doing that? Why doesn't he have a factory? You're probably wondering, but again, Marines are pretty darn good. You can handle them fairly well. They do have slightly different stats, do they? A little bit less range. I think the Marines normally have 5. I might be talking wrong here, but the Lings popping it up, just seeing what they can see. Just doing a quick contain. There's no way the Terran's going to get out anytime soon. A Hydralisk Den popping out very quickly here at the 5-minute mark. We do have the lair again being on one base and getting into Hydralisks very fast as well. This is something you saw a lot in Brood War. Getting those Hydras out. This SCV tries to get out of there but does not manage to escape. Is forced to retreat back home. Are they going to kill it? Yes, they do kill it and don't lose a single Zergling in the process. You might have noticed the game sounds on that attack are different as well. Also the lack of queens here. No queens. Zerg don't have to have the larva inject capability in order to keep up macro-wise with Terran or Protoss. We are upgrading to a command center. I don't think they have the mule call down. They can pretty much just scan, just like back in Brood War. So again, soft contained with Zerglings, something you don't see a whole lot in StarCraft these days. Very different from Starbow. Now taking a second base after the Lurkers are just about ready to go. So again, the timings are so different in Starbow. We do have tournaments in Starbow at this point. So these builds have been refined over and over again, trying to figure out exactly what works. Zerglings just kind of scouting in, seeing really nothing much but a lot of Marines. What is the choice going to be here? Marines. And there's the Firebat. Oh, and medics as well. So these are ground units, again, from Brood War. They do heal automatically with this heal ability. They can also do optical flare to blind targets and restore, removing all negative effects from the target unit. A bit of a typo there. Should be removes all negative E effects from the target unit. Perhaps Xiphius will see that and fix it. But here comes the push. The Marines, the medevacs. Wow. Hard to change those habits. Marines, medics, and a single Firebat here. Firebat has obviously flamethrowers. Does concussive damage 100% versus light units, less against medium and less against armored. Can get stim here as well. Are the Lurkers ready to go? There's a single Lurker burrowing into the ground there, ready to go. Or we do have more on the way. No, not really. Just much a single Lurker. This is going to be a huge attack. Might do a ton of damage as well. Those medics really changed the game when they were introduced in Brood War. Just because before, in vanilla StarCraft, bio units were so squishy, they would just die. You couldn't heal them, and they weren't super useful. It was kind of hard to control them that way, but medics came out and said, you know what, we can use stim and heal through it. We can take damage and heal through it, and medics really made bio what they are today in StarCraft. So a little bit of a history lesson for you if you're not familiar with this. Another lurker being morphed is enough. The scan comes down. Or is it enough to actually focus down that lurker? Yeah, instantly dying. Good splits here from the Marines. Going to run right on past. Going to try to kill this lurker egg. Are we? I don't know if we are. Going to try to focus down this base. Actually, looks like what we're going to do. This thing has too much armor to kill. Look at how, I mean, geez. Burrowing immediately. Not quite able to burrow. Does actually die. This base dies as well. What's the fence going to be like here from XellOs? I don't know what the answer is going to be. There's just a huge Marine attack here, ready to stim forward, and here we go, right on up into the main. Gonna kill a bunch of these workers, does force the drone pull, and actually canceling a spine crawler, or is a sunken colony perhaps? I'm not sure what actually was being made there, but in the end we have 2 lurkers, a queen, a swarm queen, which actually has the abilities Enrage, which can attack for 22 seconds. There comes the Enrage, gonna try to kill what she can, and the lurker immediately burned down again. There are just so many Marines here, so many medics. Creep tumors, inject larva, nurturing swarm. So again, you can inject, it's just not super necessary in the early game. And in the end, the swarm queen does actually help to kill everything here. All that's left are medics. They are getting slowly killed by these zerglings. There aren't just many medics left, and bam, she dies, unfortunately for her. They also have Nurturing Swarm, releases a cloud of nurturing insects at a targeted biological unit or structure, restoring 110 hit points to the target. If used on a morphing structure, these insects will increase the structure's morph rate by 75% for 17 seconds. So basically, it is helpful to biological units and structures, kind of heal. And also, the morphing rate on a structure will increase. So that is pretty cool stuff. Swarm Queens, you are neat. Have we expanded at all? Oh, lurkers are actually here in sight. What on earth? Did I miss this? Lurkers here inside the main base of Moxie, and actually did manage to force a liftoff on the command center. I'm going to try to get out of here by killing this supply depot. Going to do a good job of it as well. I apologize. I completely missed that. I don't know how lurkers showed up, but a good scan, losing a lot of SCVs, but they're going to kill both the lurkers. They do both die. They cannot escape. Another lurker comes up to set siege outside of the base, and that's actually a little bit more difficult to get. The Marines can't quite range to get there. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, taking free hits for no reason. This lurker doing a ton of damage. More and more lings coming across. You'll notice how low econ these games are. We're actually at 21 to 16 supply here at the 11-minute mark. Macro is not as important. It's pretty much a lot of micro, making the most of your units. This lurker running on in, not afraid of anything. The lings doing tons of damage as well. Doing a pretty good spread on those Marines. There are only 2 of them in a single Firebat, but man, Firebats do a lot of damage to Zerglings. There we go. Seeing the Firebat roasting Zerglings left and right, but the lurker tries to kill him. Focusing down that, there we go, killing an SCV, killing another SCV? No, not quite. Killing the barracks when there's nothing else in range. And Moxie actually doing long distance mining here. Is there enough to kill? Oh no, the Marine actually dies, but they do manage to take down the lurker as well. And those 2 lings get cleaned up by that Firebat. No big deal. Moving on with more and more lings. See, an attack of 4 Zerglings is not completely worthless in Starbow. You have to notice that. Morphing in more lurkers. Lurkers are just a staple unit of Zerg in this matchup especially. Are we going to block off? No, not quite. But again, there's this Firebat with the medic support. Those lings are not going to be able to do much at all. They're pretty much here for contain as best they can do. But instead, they all get roasted. They are there on the ground, roasting like marshmallows. More lings coming across, maybe just scouting lings. You need to retake your base, I think, XellOs. I'm not entirely sure what to tell you to do at this point, but I think taking another base would be a good decision because it feels like the Terran player is a little bit hemmed in as well. I mean, it still has, how many workers are on the field here? Actually, it shows us over there, 12 SCVs to 16 drones. Both players, again, playing super low economy. There's really not much they can do about it, trying to make workers as fast as they can, but there are no mules. There are injects, which maybe the Swarm Queen could be using, but what is the energy going to? Inject larva is 15. There is enough for an inject here. Actually, a bunch of larvae here as well. So I don't know, but here we go. Another lurker ling attack here at the front door, trying to kill these barracks and this factory. Doing a good job forcing the liftoff. But again, this bioforce is very, very strong. Moving forward a little bit farther with the lurkers, just kind of doing a siege progression. Up, up, Are we going to push forward a little bit more? Yes, we are. Just pushing up to stay in range of the one behind us. But not so far away that you'll be left. Both of them coming up at the same time, being very brave on that fact. Coming up again, forcing that bio army back. 2 lurkers are better than 1, it turns out. And here we go, the stim forward, the scan. 1 lurker dies. 1 lurker in the back doing terrible, terrible damage. Can they kill? Nope, both the lurkers die again. So again, lurkers are good, but they're not invincible. With good splits and a good scan and good timings on your stim as a Terran player, you can handle that. So well played indeed. Another base now coming up for XellO, replacing the one that was lost earlier in the game. Pretty much staying on this Ling lurker tech here. And pretty much just going to be bio here for Moxie as well. Starport popping on, not really doing anything at all. What can you make? Wraiths. They can attack ground and air units. We have a drop ship, which only drops. It doesn't heal. Vikings, Banshees, we do have Banshees, as well as Science Vessels and Battle Cruisers. Science Vessels are kind of like Ravens in StarCraft 2. They have the ability to use Defensive Matrix to give units a defensive shield, and they can also use Irradiate on biological units to make them radioactive to themselves and the units around them. Really, really good against Zerg. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those out if we see Mutalisks. They can also, back in Brood War, they could one-shot Lurkers, so that might be nice as well. To get that science vessel out. There is enough minerals for it. A lot of gas though, about 225 gas, and just not enough for Moxie right now. And also you have the battle cruisers with the Yamato cannon, I have to assume. So both players just kind of sitting back, taking it easy, macroing up as best they can. The Spire has now been started for XellOs. There it is, another as well as a macro hatch. You see these a lot more in Starbow than you do in StarCraft 2. Lurkers here, pretty much for defensive purposes. 4 lurkers can tear up a lot of bio units with that spine crawler as well. Is it called a spine crawler? It is called a spine crawler. We didn't actually call it. This unit deals explosive damage. Oh, extra damage versus armored, 50% versus light, and 75 versus medium. Okay, so again, kind of like the Sunken Colonies back in the Brood War days. They do extra damage to armored units. They're good against tanks. It's just a matter of getting close enough to the tanks to actually deal that damage, it turns out. So again, just another interesting little twist that Starbow has made to the game to make it more interesting. So back and forth we go, healing up our command center as best we possibly can. Really not much we can do for this. I don't think we have transfuse available. No, XellOs saying, welp. Just kind of resetting the game at this point. It is 19 SCVs to 30 drones. XellOs doing a pretty darn good job of himself of macroing up. Again, you only have 12 harvesters here because is the pathing worse? I don't know what the reason for that is. I don't know why you don't have the full amount, but here comes a huge push. There's that science vessel. There it is, a Radiate EMP, which again is just like EMP that Ghosts have in StarCraft 2. Not super useful against the Zerg player at this point, but here comes a big, massive push. A good stim forward could kill these lurkers fairly easily, especially with an Irradiate. Oh, also the science vessel is a detector, just like the Raven, so it can see those lurkers no problem. Don't have to waste a scan to kill them. A good, strong timing push here from Moxie, going to come right up to this creep. There is a spine, and what is the science vessel going to do? Just pretty much scout things out right now. Not enough energy. Oh, enough energy for a defensive matrix, but Irradiates, you have to research it at the Starport Tech Lab. So never mind, we won't see Irradiates for a while, although it is just barely being researched here by Moxie. Small group of mutas flying on out. Mutas are a little bit more fragile in Starbow, I think, than they are in StarCraft 2. Still, they melt to a lot in StarCraft 2, but I think they're even less able to just head-on attack stuff in Starbow. So here we come on out. The mutas, a small group of them, about 6. You don't see giant mutaflux, I don't think, in Starbow, but coming on out. Can they kill these Marines? Yes, they do lose a single muta, but they kill all those Marines. And all these SCVs are in a huge amount of trouble. Killing as many as they possibly can, getting these Marines that are on move command. Unfortunately, they are rallied. That medic dies as well. What are we going to do? Are we going to push Moxie? We got to do something, and do we stim and kind of hang out? Defensive matrix on those Marines coming on up to force the lurkers to attack them. And here we go, focusing down the spine, taking down the lurkers. 1, 2, 3, 4 lurkers go down. All that's left of these lings. They are no match for this bio army. The mutas have to fly home and help to deal with this. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. This is such a big Terran force. All these Marines. Do we have any upgrades is the question. No upgrades. Again, just the stim. The medic's doing a great job healing things up. Science vessels up top, making sure no crazy lurkers are going to come in and kill them. The mutas, I don't know if this is enough to actually handle this number of Marines. It is just so many Marines. We are pulling drones. And here we go. The big attack. drones, zerglings, mutas trying to come in, kill as many Marines as we possibly can, and doing a pretty good job of it. A lot of Marines are dying. More and more reinforcements are coming in, though. A Radiate going down on the Swarm Queen. She needs to get away from everybody else. Notice how that zergling died to it. Is that enough to kill the Swarm Queen? All these medics are going to die as well. This is enough mutas and enough lings to kill them. The reinforcements should really turn around and go back home at this point. There's not much for them here. The Swarm Queen die? I think it did. Yeah, we lost the Swarm Queen to that Irradiate, so I have to remake one. Again, not as super necessary as regular queens are in StarCraft 2, but again, still super, super good. Push out with a bunch of lings. This is not walled off. This is not walled off. A bunch of ling attack might be good. There's only a single fire bat here. Marines do not do well against lings. A Radiate might be nice as well, but here we go, pushing on out. There are 3 SCVs left. The mutas did so much damage to the Terran economy, pushing forward. The lings get a good surround. The mutas from up top as well, going to kill everything on the ground here. Yep. A Radiate going down on that muta cloud. Need to separate them out. There are 2 here, not just 1. Oh, I think they're both going to die, but enough. The 3 Marines are here. The Zerglings are in here, killing everything they possibly can. Fusion Core Moxie calls the GG, and XellOs is victorious. Woo! Crazy back and forth game of Starbow. Thank you so much for watching. And again, thanks to Ziphius for sending me these replays. You can also find Starbow on the StarCraft 2 arcade if you're interested in playing this yourself. Very interesting, very fun. I'm glad to see that it is still... still being produced, still being improved. So thank you so much for watching. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Blizzard upload. It's something a little bit different today. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. You can also catch me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, you take care of yourself.